Hey, what's up, guys? This is Clay from Epic Tech, where we do unboxings and tech reviews. Thank you for joining me today, and if you're new, welcome to the crew. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you to please comment, like, and subscribe. Alright, let's get it started. So, let me start out by saying all of this is my opinion and not fact. This is just what I've been observing from the market and by watching the other videos on YouTube from the other creators. So, in my lifetime, I've owned quite a few graphics cards. So, from Team Green, I've owned the 1050 Ti, the 1070, 1070 Ti, 1080 Ti, and the 1660 Ti. And from Team Red, I've owned the RX 470, the RX 590, the RX 5700 XT, and now I currently have the RX 6700 XT. So as you can tell by the list, I've had my hands on all different levels of performance, except for the current highest end stuff, because I personally refuse to buy it until it comes down in price by a few $100s. Usually what I do is I like to wait at least a minimum of 2 years before I consider upgrading to a new graphics card or even computer part, just to make sure I'm getting my money's worth out of it. But that doesn't mean that I don't like to ooh and ah over the new performance. I even put some of these new cards in my cart on Amazon, wanting to pull the trigger, super late at night. It's 3 a.m. and you're just scrolling Amazon. So, but then I kind of remind myself, don't be a dummy. Don't pay $800 for that graphics card, and then the next tier up is $1,100. So, usually, once it's time for me to upgrade, I usually go for the very top. So the very top end of last year's latest and greatest. So I guess the big question is, when it comes to you guys, what resolution and graphics settings do you actually want to play at for choosing a graphics card? If you want to play 1080p at medium to high settings, depending on the game, for the next 2 years, go ahead and buy the new RX 7600 or the 46 Ti. They're both 8 GB cards. I'd say they're more medium settings than medium to high settings. Just over the course of the next 2 years, they might even go low to medium settings. Who knows if they're going to last. So far, games are already hitting 10 gigabytes of usage, 11 gigabytes, 12 gigabytes. It all depends on the settings you're kind of really playing at. What textures are you pushing? So my true graphics card recommendation for the majority of gamers, so it actually hits the 1080p range and the 1440p range. So if you want to play 1080p, high refresh rate, high to ultra settings, or even 1440p medium to high settings with a reasonably high refresh rate, I would say get the RX 6700 XT. It's only $330. I call that's a pretty banger deal. Compared to last year, when there was no graphics cards to even buy and they were being scalped. $330. You get 12 gigabytes of VRAM too. So you're already above where the games are hitting. You're basically at like the minimum of where the games are hitting for VRAM usage. I did buy it last year. Like I said, I overpaid. I paid $600. Boo. But I didn't want to wait, and I'm kind of regretting it. So I'm kind of in a position that a lot of people are in, where we're kind of forced to wait out this generation just to get the worth of the card compared to the amount of money we spent. Just get the worth out of it. So that's kind of, if you're looking for like 1080p to 1440p, get the 6700 XT. It's the best deal out there with 12 gigabytes of VRAM. So now if you're looking for 1440p high refresh rate or 4K medium to high settings, say goodbye to your savings and start eating ramen noodles. I wouldn't look lower than the RX 6950 XT, which has 16 gigabytes of VRAM And that's actually the card that I recommend for the best price to performance, and it's only going for $630 on Newegg, Amazon and Newegg. So I'd say if you do want to go do the latest and greatest, get ready to pay up. This is where it also gets messy in the graphics card market nowadays, and this is why it's dumb, and it makes it hard for consumers to decide. That's why there's so much hate right now on YouTube and backlash for these big creators that we love. Jay's 2 cents. He took down his video yesterday. I know he's recovering from a surgery, and Phil was there. But these are guys we love. These are the guys that we go to when we need a tech tip. You know what I mean? So, but the next closest card to the 6950 XT, 7900 XT, which 20 gigabytes of VRAM. There we go. So $760. That would be pretty much the top end that I would buy of these current cards, NVIDIA or AMD, because after $760, it gets pretty nuts. You go to the 7900 XTX, it's $1,100. And then you got the RTX, the 4070 and the 4070 Ti, still have 12 gigabytes of VRAM for $600 and $800. Not even worth it. And then you go to the 4080, you're looking at $1,200. Not worth it. Which 4080, 16 gigabytes VRAM, $1,200, or pay 6950 XT money for $630, but still get 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Also, ultra settings, they're not worth it over the high settings. There's literally almost no difference in the effects on the screen, but you lose a pretty good chunk of your performance. You could choose ultra on Warzone, be running at 80 FPS, or you'd be having a better, more competitive experience on high settings with 120 FPS. To me, that makes a lot of sense. So I guess here's another thing to consider with all the graphics card shenanigans. Do you need to upgrade power supplies, or So, because if you need to upgrade your power supply, that's just add that into the cost and the time of actually upgrading. Would you rather save money on a card that makes sense and have an easy install that'll take 10 minutes, or do you want to struggle rewiring your whole computer for an hour or two, and then by the end of it, you're just so tired you don't even want to play games anymore. You just want to go to sleep. So I guess it really comes down to, what type of consumer are you? Are you a budget consumer or high-end consumer? Or are you like me and like to get the best bang for your buck? So in all reality, I recommend going for the best performance you can get with at least 12 gigabytes of VRAM. That's within your price range. I would not recommend 8 gigabytes of VRAM unless you understand you'll not have the graphics card for a very long time. You'll probably have to upgrade a lot sooner than you think, which is why I recommend that 12 gigabytes for a minimum in 2023. As long as it's priced correctly. So the new 8 gigabyte RX 7600, it looks like a really good value for 1080p medium settings at $269, but I would avoid the 4060 and the 4060 Ti until they come down to $300 in that price range, and don't even consider that 16 gigabyte version because it should be irrelevant at $500. So basically, to end this video out, if you absolutely need a graphics card right now, go buy an RX 6700 XT for 1080p to 1440p gaming, or a 6950 XT for 1440p to 4K gaming at reasonable settings. And I just want to say thank you for joining me again today, guys. Comment, like, and subscribe. And once again, this is Clay from Epic Tech, signing out.